Back in 2021, Chef Michael Bonaccini asked me to do the bread for the Royal Winter Fair Gala dinner. This was a dinner for over 1,000 people, and that's where I first created this recipe. This is a tangzhong milk bun. Now, these buns, this version is packed with seeds, but you can do this in so many different ways. Once you have this base formula down, you can really customize it. As you can see, I couldn't even wait to shoot the intro of the video to start eating this. And in this video, I'm gonna show you how to make this. So let's get started. The first step for our tangzhong milk buns is to toast the seeds and to cook the tangzhong. I've laid out the seeds on one tray: sunflower, pumpkin, sesame. You can use any combination, just one, all three, whatever you want. And I'm gonna put these in the oven at 400 degrees Fahrenheit for about 15 minutes. Now that the seeds are in, we're gonna cook our tangzhong. This is a method of pre-gelatinizing the starches that are in the flour that go in the dough, and it's gonna allow us to add more water to the dough. It's gonna soften the final product and give it an extended shelf life. I highly recommend you try this. If you boil the water and add the flour, you'll end up with lumps. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna start with the water, then we'll add our flour. You can use alternative flours here like buckwheat or teff. I'm just using bread flour, but if you wanna play around, you can. Put that in and immediately whisk it to prevent the lumps from forming. And you're gonna see that that'll whisk, it should whisk in. Yeah, there we go, look at that, beautiful. Next, we're gonna go over and cook this over a medium-high heat for about 3 to 4 minutes until it thickens up like a roux. We'll remove it and place it back in our bowl. So you're gonna wanna whisk this. You're also gonna need a spatula nearby and something to put it in after. We're gonna place this over medium heat, medium high, and you're just gonna whisk this so it comes together. If you get a little bit of a skin on the bottom, that's okay. We want this to boil and thicken up. So you can already see it starting to get thicker here, and that's great. Whisk this up, keep going. You can start to see some lumps forming there. Now it's starting to coat the bottom of the pan, and this will come to a boil and we should be done. I'm gonna switch to the spatula at this point. Gently stir this to thicken. So you'll end up with this sort of goopy mixture that holds its shape on the spatula. And it kind of falls off in pieces. You see that? Boom. Great. Keep stirring this. Make sure it's all combined evenly. Okay, so once this is thickened up to this point, we can take this off the heat. Then we're going to place this directly into your bowl. Okay, the tangzhong mixture is cooked. We're gonna cover this and place it in the fridge to cool. If you want to do this the day before, you absolutely can. I'm usually not that organized. And we're gonna place the plastic directly on top of this and now put it in the fridge to cool down. Get this cleaned up, we'll come back, and when that's cold, we'll mix our dough. All right, it's time to mix our milk buns. I've already got the seeds measured out. Tangzhong is cooled down, well, mostly cooled down anyways. If you want to cool it fast, you can put it very flat. More surface area will cool it faster. I'm gonna just get everything in the bowl except for the seeds. So you're gonna start with my milk, which is cold, then my milk powder, sugar, instant active yeast, salt I'm gonna put into the flour, the soft butter, we can put it right in, combine the flours together, egg, crack it in here first just in case I get a shell. Okay, and last, our flour. Next, we're gonna place this on the mixer and use the dough hook. Okay, put this down, and we're gonna mix this for a total of about 10 minutes. I'm gonna start on first speed and mix it until it just comes together, and then we'll crank the time up. Okay, so I've just turned the speed up a little bit, and you can see there's not a whole lot of development in there. It's still got some dry bits on the side of the bowl, but that's okay. We're just gonna let it go, and eventually it'll come together. Okay, now that our dough has come together, so there are no dry bits of flour, but you can see there's no real gluten development here. We're gonna turn the mixing speed up, and we're gonna let this mix for about 6 to 8 minutes. So we're looking for the dough to clean itself up off the bowl and pull itself off the mixer. Now it's smeared and it's just starting to, and in a moment, the gluten will be strong enough to hold that. And now how we can check it is if you turn the mixer off and you use slightly wet hands, you should be able to window it. Now this doesn't quite window, that means we have to mix this a little bit longer. Our dough is much stronger, you can see. One way that you can test this is with slightly wet hands. You can actually hold it up to something, and so you want to be able to see the light through it. So you can see that pink light if I put it here. That's enough mixing for this dough. We can add our seed mixture now. So we're gonna dump that in. And now for the seeds, we want to mix this in just on first speed only. Once the dough is mixed, we're gonna turn off the mixer. Just use a little bit of water on your hand to take the dough off the hook. You can get everything off there. And we're gonna place this dough into just a lightly oiled container or bowl, whatever you've got. I like to just put it on the table first. Scrape everything out of that bowl. Now it looks a bit wet because my scraper was wet, but if you look at this, it should come together into a nice ball. And we're gonna just place this now into our lightly oiled container. And we're gonna leave this between 70 to 90 minutes. I wanna check the temperature because that was a pretty aggressive mix. And our dough temperature is actually right on point here. We are at 27.4, 27.5, and we're looking for something about 27 degrees Celsius. 80 minutes. And then that way we're kind of halfway in between 70 to 90. If it needs a bit longer, we'll leave it. Just gonna place this off to the side. I'm gonna get cleaned up and I'll see you in 90 minutes. All right, it's time to shape our buns. You can see it's actually filled out the container and just touching the top. We're going to flip this out. I've got my scale here and I've also got a tin to put them in. This is a 9x9 tin. So using a bench scraper, we're gonna divide this into 85 gram pieces. I just put a little bit of flour on my hand so that the dough doesn't stick, and we're gonna cut the pieces first, and we're aiming for 85. If you're a couple grams over under, I wouldn't worry too much about it. 84. And if you wanted to scale this recipe and make more buns than this, you can use the Excel dough calculator for free. You can download that. I'll leave a link in the description below. Okay, the dough will feel a little sticky at this point, but that is totally fine. We're going to round it up nicely, and you should end up with 9. Sometimes I like to divide them all first. That way, if one of them's too big at the end, or too small, you have enough dough for them. So 87, and so I'm actually a little small on this one, so this is why. And we can go back and take off just a few pieces. You inevitably lose a few pieces in the mixer and whatnot, so sometimes it happens. Now, to shape the bun, you're gonna use a dough scraper, and you're just gonna pull it into a round ball. So you wanna use the scraper to make tension and round it. So there's 1, there's 2, and repeat this on all 9. Now we're gonna let these rest for about 10 minutes, and then we're gonna final shape them and put them in the pan. Don't forget, cover your dough. So the key is you're developing tension here. You want it to be a nice tight ball. That is gonna give you a little bit more final volume on your last product. Same thing here. You can do it by hand. I think it's easier by hand, so I like to do it like this. Pushing forward with the thumb, pulling back with the fingers, and a nice tight ball. This final rise is gonna take about 90 minutes. I like to cover the dough, and we're just gonna place this off to the side on my table or whatever, out of the way, and set the timer for 90 minutes. Before the 90 minutes is up, we're gonna wanna make sure that we preheat our oven to 400 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm gonna have an egg wash, which we'll make together, and a little bit of seeds to garnish with. So I'll see you in an hour and a half. It's been exactly 90 minutes. The timer just went off, and these buns are definitely ready for the oven. So you can see that they've risen very well. They've actually filled out the pan. If you take a floured finger and just press into the bun, it's gonna spring back, but leave an indent. So you see how there's a little bit of spring back there? That is a sign that these are perfectly ready for the oven. So we're gonna egg wash them, and I'm gonna put a little bit of seeds on them. So I saved a little bit of seed mixture from another recipe, and these are untoasted. So we're gonna just keep this really basic here. I don't wanna overcomplicate it. To make the egg wash, I'm just gonna put it in a jar and, like a bartender. Sometimes I put a splash of water in here, maybe a pinch of salt, but today I'm just gonna keep it simple. Sometimes you just gotta make things easy for yourself. The more resistance and friction you put in front of you in the recipe or the baked bread, the less likely you are to make it. So let's keep it simple. There we go, egg wash. All you wanna do is make sure that there's no chunks of egg white, and you can see it streams very evenly versus chunky. Next, take off a little bit of the excess egg and gently brush the buns. If you start to brush them and they deflate, then you've overproofed them, and the next time you make them, go a little bit less. But I'm actually gonna go ahead and say, I'm not really a believer in perfect food or perfect bread, but I'm gonna say these are perfectly proofed. If you have a little bit of a hole like that, or a bubble like that, you can pop it, because otherwise that's gonna expand in the oven and kind of burn and look a bit weird. So we're gonna just do that. Oh, there's another one. The good thing with this is I can now save this for some scrambled eggs or an omelet or a tortilla español. Next up, I'm gonna take the seeds and we're just gonna sprinkle them gently across. If you did pop a hole like I did, you can just cover that hole with the seeds, no big deal. If you wanted to do just pumpkin seeds or just sunflower seeds or whatever, you could also omit the seeds. But It is a seeded bun, so I am going to put some seeds on it. All right, now we're gonna put these in the oven. I preheated the oven to 400 degrees Fahrenheit, and I'm just gonna put them into the middle rack, and it's gonna take about 25 minutes. Throw them there, close the oven up, set a timer, 25. After 25 minutes, they should be golden brown, rise a little bit more. We're gonna take them out, put them on a cooling rack, and taste them. Normally I like to let breads cool all the way, but with these buns you can actually get away with eating them while they're still warm. Do give them a few minutes, but let's crack them open and see what the inside looks like. Oh my goodness. That is insane. I can't wait to see you bake this.